Hello, and welcome back to Babble Chats with people. Um, just on my own again this week. We have, obviously, I've said before, a couple of interviews lined up. They're not gonna really get going until April, maybe May time. A couple of people get free and their schedules and stuff. So just while I'm on my own, I can chat about what I want really. And this week I'll chat a little bit about Real Oviedo in a minute because we won. Vamos! We on birthday week as well. We beat Granada 2-1 at home. I'm going to talk a little bit about Roberto Baggio, because I've been daring to do this for months, and since I've actually started the Babble, I've sort of hinted and touched on it a little bit about my love for Roberto Baggio, but I've never really had a chance to sit down and talk about it or even write about it. And I'll let you know what's going to go on this week because we have obviously the front three shows going to be tomorrow night, which is Wednesday night, and then Thursday night we're off to watch Northern Ireland under 21s v Spain under 21s. But as I said at the start of the video, Real Oviedo were playing at the weekend at home to Granada. Hadn't won in our last five, wasn't it? I think it was our last five, 4 or 5. Really needed to win. Had fallen to 10th in the table, although the promotion and playoff spots are quite close. There's about 3 or 4 points separated. And Granada were 3 points ahead of Oviedo, and Oviedo won 2-1. Delighted. Once again, Oviedo conceded an absolute screamer of a goal. I think it was about, I just have it here in front of me, I think it was about 20 something minutes in. Actually, it's later on, actually, I'm talking nonsense. It's towards half time, and it's Pierre Kunde who just thumps, like it's a cracking volley. Another screamer that Oviedo concede. And going 1-0 down at half time, and you sort of think, well, almost half time, you're sort of thinking, oh, this is going to be torture. But just before the referee blows a whistle and sends us off for 15 minutes of torture, Juan Forlín equalises. And when Oviedo come out in the second half, it's actually Stephen Preto who scores. A youth player and academy players come through, and he gets a decisive goal in the winner. It was a big result. Especially as I said, it was sort of birthday week celebrations, and they had there's a lot of fans over there, and some of the photos looked amazing on Twitter and Facebook and stuff, and just fueled my itch even more to get over and see Oviedo. And then on Sunday night, the lads, the boys and girls at Copa 90, they released their Asturias derby from their brilliant series, Derby Days, on YouTube. You need to check it out. On Saturday morning, I must have watched about 4 hours of Copa 90 videos and stuff, and they're just brilliant. So go and check the Asturias derby out. Myself and Sarah watched it last night so I could show her what Oviedo was about. And that episode was one of the maddest episodes of football TV I've ever seen. It was just complete chaos at the game, but beforehand it was just to see the passion and so much passion in both sets of fans, in the sporting fans and the Oviedo fans, and how they just don't like each other, and how they just constantly say one's better than the other, or if one has said that they were worse off, like Oviedo had dropped lower and lower in leagues and had fallen out, basically close to extinction, which is the story that everybody knows about Oviedo. Then Sporting will say, no, actually we were a lot closer and we had more depth than you, and it's just absolute mad. It's like two brothers really, like Ryan all the time, and one has to get better than the other, and even if one says he's worse off, the other one has to say he's worse off, and it was really, really fascinating to see that. And what I like about stuff like that there is it's not about sort of the football on the pitch. It's about how people like get so into their clubs and their teams and stuff, and how everything around that, and the weeks building up to matches, or the week building up to a derby or whatever, and how the whole life is just surrounded by it, and it's so important to them. And some people might think that's maybe too much, but I love seeing all that, and that obviously because I'm being biased being an Oviedo fan, but I think that was their best episode they've done. So really check that out, the Copa 90 guys Derby Days videos. And Oviedo put themselves into the playoff spot. As I said, they're level with Granada. They're in 6th. Zaragoza are 7th. They're also level on 49 points, so it's quite tight. Sporting beat Huesca at the weekend, so they cemented themselves a little bit better off in the playoff spots, but we could still end up with Sporting v Oviedo in the playoffs, which would be like Liverpool playing Everton, Liverpool playing United, Man City playing, it'd be a derby basically, a massive thing. It'd be like the North London derby for playoff to get into the Premier League. It's just that will be some show. Other sort of results in Europe this weekend, if you didn't see them. Mo Salah went and scored 4 goals on Saturday, and then Mauro Icardi and Cristiano Ronaldo decided they'd go do it as well. And both strikers got 4 goals on Sunday. Icardi scoring 4 at Sampdoria, his old team, who, after what he did to Maxi Lopez, stealing his wife and then marrying her, the Sampdoria fans still haven't forgiven him, and they completely despise him, and he managed to go and stick 4 goals past them at their place. So that probably didn't feel too good for Sampdoria fans on Monday morning. Juve were playing Spal and they drew 0-0, which left the door open for Napoli, and Napoli went and won 1-0 in the end. I think it was Real Albiol got the goal, and they managed to close the gap to 2 points, and they both play each other in a matter of weeks in Turin. That is going to be massive. Just a quick note on Juve, since the turn of the year in the league they haven't conceded a goal, which is bonkers, but that's Buffon and Chiellini, Barzagli, Benyata, Lichtsteiner, all those lads. You're going to have a good chance of not conceding goals. Pardon me. Sort of on Juventus leads me into speaking about the divine ponytail one, Roberto Baggio. Obviously this week as well, like it's international break and everyone's going off to play friendlies and stuff, getting ready for the World Cup. So every time I think of the World Cup, I think of Roberto Baggio, because it was probably 1994 was the first World Cup that I would have been able to pay any notice to. I'd have been 5 coming 6. And I just remember, like, sort of in my old childminder's house where I would have spent during the summer and stuff, I'd have spent all days there because mum and dad had been working. And I remember seeing highlights and different things, and sort of picking up hearing about Baggio, and then it was the blue top. I think it was the Italian 1994 top as well that drew me to it, and then obviously played the Republic of Ireland as well, so I was obviously hype about that. But it was sort of like that's the first time I noticed. I think I'm claiming that's the first time I noticed a footballer. I was still very young, so what may happen is the fact that I watched so many videos afterwards and watched Football Italia afterwards, which the World Cup led on to for me, then that's probably where I'm thinking in my head. I mightn't have noticed him that well, but it's just this vivid memory of Baggio scoring goals, and like I absolutely fell in love with him. You get asked all the time when you're talking to people that maybe don't know you, and you talk about your football team, and obviously my team is Liverpool and Oviedo, and you get asked all the time about your heroes, and people automatically will think it's Steven Gerrard, or some people will even still say it was Michael Owen because I'm coming 30, and obviously when I was growing up he came into the scene, and people mention Robbie Fowler and different things, and you'd Suarez and all this here, and I probably for Liverpool, yeah, it would be Gerrard, but if Steven Gerrard and Roberto Baggio knocked on the front door here now tonight and asked me to come out and play football, I'll put Gerrard in nets, and me and Baggio would just play football, and he would do nets for us as we would take shots. Well, I'll just let him take shots, actually, just set him up and he could score goals. I just adored him, and I remember going out into the garden, this is after the World Cup, a couple of years after, and still watching Football Italia, which I was obsessed with when I was younger as well, on Channel 4, and watching it on Saturday and then watching the matches on Sunday, and going out and pretending to be Baggio in mum and dad's back garden, which was a tiny garden. It felt massive then, obviously, but it's a tiny garden, and just remember so many leaves about it, and using the hedge as a goal, and my dad would have put like a green net up on the hedge, and I'd have made him do nets, and I'd have been smashing the ball in, and I was Baggio, like, and I always thought I just loved him and absolutely adored him. And he's also the first footballer to make me cry, because he missed that penalty in '94, which still haunts him. I was watching a video about him on him last night in an interview, and he still talks about it, and it still haunts him, and it still haunts me. It's one of those moments that you hear even Liverpool fans talk about Gerrard's slip as like a moment that you just, even me mentioning it now, it's like, it sort of feels a bit sicky, like, and I'm not sure, maybe your team, let me know, is there a moment your team's had where you've thought, oh, that's just horrific? Like, it could be like Manchester United fans when Aguero scores that goal to win City the league, that'd be the moment, or different things. Like the older generation of Manchester United fans, was it Dennis Law for Man City and what happened there, and he's getting relegated, or just, different things, like, and it was just horrific. And I still, even now, if I watch back Baggio's penalty miss, I still I still feel heartbroken by it. I remember going to bed, and Dad let me sit up and watch the World Cup final. He probably realised then that I was unbelievably obsessed with football and sport. And I remember going to bed and just crying my eyes out. And him telling me not to cry. Not in a bad way. He wasn't trying to be macho man or make me be a macho man. He was just saying like, no, don't be crying over football. Like there's worse things you could be crying over. And you know, it's just a game of football. But all the talk, just trying to be a dad, trying to console me. But I was just devastated by it. And I've always had a little thing for Italy then. Like I always wanted to see them do well. And they're not in the World Cup this year, so it's a bit annoying because I like seeing them there, and they always sort of do something at the World Cup, don't they? They've won it a number of times, and they manage to do something. And if they fall out of it, and they go out of it spectacularly as well, which is quite interesting to watch too. But yeah, it was Roberto Baggio. If some of our younger viewers, obviously the Just Jake clan, if you don't know Roberto Baggio, YouTube him, do you see what he was like? He in my opinion, he's been the best ever number 10. And Messi's probably, people are going to laugh at me and say, well, Lionel Messi, he wears number 10, but it's only really recently that Messi has sort of dropped into more of that playmaking role and starting things. He's sort of been like just scoring goals, 50, 60 goals a season, and just he takes the ball, goes past 4 or 5 and he smashes in. He's still doing that and he's scoring free kicks, but there's something about Baggio. One of his goals just before finish up in Baggio that you really need to go and check is his goal for Brescia against Juventus, and the ball is lopped over the top, and it's actually talked about in the brilliant Italian football podcast that James Richardson and the guys at Totally Football do, and it comes over the top, and it's Van der Sar's coming out to him, and as the ball comes down, he controls it on his foot, turns, like he drops his shoulder with the ball, leaves Van der Sar just standing there like a glipe, and then rolls it home, and Baggio was just, you were just in awe. I think we're a little bit sort of, not brainwashed, but we're sort of, because of what Ronaldo and Messi have done, a lot of us now, and a lot of the younger generation now don't really appreciate all the things they got there, and that's not me saying, being a 29-year-old banging the door and saying, oh, see these youngins, they don't know what they're born, but it's not that at all. It's, they just, things like that, when he came along, when he was doing that there, we people weren't used to seeing it so much, and it sort of felt like a once in a lifetime footballer, whereas now you have Messi and Ronaldo, and then anytime somebody does something good, it's like, oh, he's unreal, he's such a superstar in this era. But really and truly, some of the guys that went beforehand, like, you couldn't touch them and you couldn't lace their boots. So yes, that was, I'm going to talk about him again, Roberto Baggio. I'll keep mentioning him as much as I can because he was complete and still is a complete hero. And check his YouTube goals out because it's class. Just to finish off, and I did promise Brent I'd only do 5-minute chat, but we're already up to 13 minutes. Sorry. This week we are not doing a Front 3 live show on Facebook. Jake, the Prince of Rome, cannot make it this week. He is quite a busy man. So it's myself and Brendan, which will be recording it tomorrow night, which will be Wednesday. We're going to do a little football podcast. Still call it the Front 3 show, obviously. We're going to do a podcast and we're going to chat about basically a few different topics. Not so much what happened last week, but we'll let you know tomorrow what it's going to be about. And on Thursday night, we are off to watch Northern Ireland under 21s play Spain under 21s in a top of the table clash for the European Championships. Very, very excited about this. Excited to see some of the young Northern Ireland players, the likes of Paul Smith, Mark Sykes, who plays for Glenavon, up against Carlos Soler, Fabian from Real Betis, Francis from Real Betis, Dani Ceballos from Real Madrid, Mikel Moreno from Newcastle, Adama Traore from Middlesbrough. The Spain team is ridiculous, but the Northern Ireland boys, they're at home. I think it's 3 or 4 points only off them at the top of the table in their group stage. So there's nothing to fear. It should be a really good game and I cannot wait for it. As always, check out our YouTube page at the Sports Babble. Check out our Facebook, the Sports Babble, and our Twitter. We're on 450 odd likes now on Facebook. We need to get to 500 and then one of you will win your Premier League choice, top of choice. So if you can, get on, look at our page. We've shared the competition again. Share the competition, like it, tell all your mates, get involved. Let me know what you thought of this video, and you'll hear from us during the week. Good luck.